my colleague from Tochi District, Honorable Peter Okot, UNPF, representative here, representative of the Dutch government and the Swedish government, and I'm informed there are people from the private sector here who are interested in these matters. I'm delighted to have been invited to have a short moment with you here. I met people from the National Population Council, I think 2 days ago, led by the director responsible for policies, and we had a very good discussion, in my opinion. You see, when you're not prepared, everything becomes a challenge. When you don't have an umbrella, the rain becomes a challenge, and yet the rain is an opportunity. When you're not educated, reading is a challenge. You can't read. When I travel in countries that don't use English, whose writings I don't understand, and I look at all the signboards covering all their streets and lanes and walls of buildings, I can't read them. So it's a challenge to me. And yet I'm educated. Now that is the life of the people in this country who are not educated. All the signs they see is a challenge. All the books they see is a challenge. Everything that has to do with literacy, understanding, comprehension on paper is a challenge. When you are not prepared, everything is a challenge. So when you have an economy that is not strong, population is a challenge. Numbers become a challenge. So the fundamental question is not the question of numbers. The fundamental issue is the capacity of the economy to support a particular number of people in that country. I want to reverse this debate. I want to interrogate the policy issues here. Because by presenting the situation that 47 point something population below the age of 15, and you present that as a challenge, I want to reverse that debate. I want to look at what we can do for this population in the next 5 to 10 years. If we invest in this population, which now we look at as a challenge, in 5 years, in 10 years, they will stop being a challenge. They will become that population that will begin generating wealth for this country. But if we continue to look at them as a challenge and as a challenge they will remain. But what opportunity lies in them? What policies are we putting in place to work with these people? Empower them in terms of education. Support them so that they are healthy. So that by the time they reach age 20, you have this huge 47 point whatever percentage now there. What change could they make in this country? If they're all empowered educationally, if they all have capacity to create enterprises, how much more would they produce for this country? How much more would they change this country from what we're looking at right now? What policies do we have in place? And that day I challenged the National Population Council people. I said, let's stop looking at these numbers. Let's start looking at what we can do with these numbers. Because when we reverse that debate, then we'll start looking in the right direction. Population 0 to 3 is a critical year. From childbirth to 1,000 days of a child. What are we doing as a country to stop stunting? I did a study, and in that study they say it's a major problem. The feeding we give to children from age 0 to age 3, the first 1,000 days of a child is critical. When a child is stunted at that age, they cannot learn much. The brain is challenged, everything is reduced. So this child will become a burden from that age. So by the time the child is becoming age 4, That child is already burdened. You send them to school, they can't learn much. This is the focus I'd like to make. Because if you remove stunting, you are producing healthy girls, healthy boys who are able to learn in school. Facilities are provided for them to learn. Facilities are provided for them to stay healthy. By age 10, they are somewhere making high grades in school. By age 17, they're in secondary schools. By age 20, they're in universities. They are in schools. So there's no early pregnancy. Or if it is there, it's a very little percentage. By age 25, they are running the economy. You will have changed this whole debate. And I like what Professor Mamdani used to tell me, that we need to create as a country 1, 2, 3, 4 generation. One spouse, 2 children, a 3-bedroom house, and a 4-wheel drive car. When you do this, you don't have to tell anybody about family planning, because it is that person. Because see, when you come to talk to me about family planning, it's like, what does he know about me? But when it is me who is conscious about how many children I should have, the equation is changed. Nobody has to spend money printing posters telling people family plan, fertility, anything like that, because they know that I must have 2 children, I must have 3 children who I can live up and keep. So the long-term solution in this debate is to focus on support systems that can work with these people, make them conscious, so that we stop talking about things like malaria. We are going to, the president coming to launch a campaign on malaria, a national campaign on malaria. Parliament is creating a forum on malaria. We will stop this debate. The expenditure on Medicare will come down because we have a conscious population that is capable of meeting its medical bills, that is capable of looking after itself, that is capable of feeding its children, educating their children, and keeping them healthy. That should be the focus, in my opinion. It's not about numbers. I demonstrated that day to your friends who came to see me. I said, you see, in a plot of land of 25 decimals, I don't know whether other people understand 25 decimals, quarter an acre, you can put a 3-bedroom house. When you put a 3-bedroom house, it has a maximum number of people it can conveniently hold. Maybe 8, maybe less. But if you use that same piece of land and put a 20-story building on it, then you can multiply the base by the number of stairs that you have. So from a population of 7, you can end up with 70 if you have a 10th-floor building. Because the infrastructure is there, the money was there to lift up the thing so that more people can be accommodated. If the economy is strong, you don't have to worry about numbers. There are countries that are seeking out people to come to them because they are almost they are underpopulated, so to speak. The underpopulation they talk about is because they have too much resource that it's becoming redundant. That's how they're even able to send money to us to help us. That's how they're able to run social protection policies effectively, because they have money in excess. Imagine that out, because now you're saying it's 38 million people in Uganda. Imagine if 25 million Ugandans were able to purchase without being dependent. How many industries would come up to support that population? How many entrepreneurs would show up, inventing things, creating business every day, knowing that there's a great market for it? If we can only increase on their purchasing power. So our policies should shift from insisting on numbers, fertility rates and things like that. Those don't help. Those are short-term solutions to a problem that is going to be longer and longer. Let the population be able to manage itself. Let the people be able to manage their household, have capacities to control their own numbers of children they will have in their own family, without somebody coming to give lectures to other people about it. So, with this very kind word, I now declare the operations for world population gearing up to the event open. Thank you.